Good evening, my name is Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again. This is the Arsenal Review and... Ten games and we're still there. We're still at the top. It's quite good, isn't it? It's going to be a busy show tonight. We're also going to look back on yesterday's fantastic fun win at Leeds. We're also going to look at the Europa League. Obviously, we had a game last Thursday. We've got a game coming this week as well. And of course, we are got another tough Premier League game at the weekend as well, away at Southampton. So we've got a lot to get through. So let's get started. Watch Gabriel Martinelli. It's now with Granit Xhaka. Is it going to be the third goal? It is the third goal. Granit Xhaka with it. That seals it. Well, what happened there? The intro went a bit funny. Anyway, we are here. It is the Arsenal Review, and we have got, of course, some usual regular faces, and one maybe not quite so familiar, although he has been on the channel before. First of all, Steve, good to see you again. Are you well this week?
I'm man down a little bit at the moment, so my apologies in advance if I'm coughing and spluttering, but don't worry, I've got plenty of wine to just bring that little edge off the tickly cough, mate. I really have.
Well, I'm sure the wine will get you through the evening without too many problems as usual. And Neil as well, of course, with your Champions-elect badge there, which looks very nice indeed. How are you feeling this week?
Feeling like a champion, Richard. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling like I'm top of the league, actually. That's quite a nice feeling, isn't it? Once again, another week of being top of the league. Well, it's going to be another week even longer, hopefully, as well. And coming back, first time this season, actually, Michael, good to see you, my friend. Are you okay?
Hi there. Thanks for the invite. I'm good, thanks. Obviously happy with the way things are going, and thanks for inviting me on and finally actually being on there. The kids are asleep, so I'm all yours for the evening.
Great to see you again, and say a lot of good stuff, and maybe some not quite so good stuff to get through, but we will talk about all the stuff that's going on. So we'll start off. Obviously, there's only one place we can really begin, isn't it? And that was a rather long, or felt very long, 90 minutes yesterday at Ellen Road. Pretty much everything happened in that game that that you could wish for, really. The delay at the start for 40 minutes while the power cut was going on, and VAR wasn't working, and goal line technology wasn't working. The players went off and came back on again, and if that wasn't enough fun on its own, then the game started, and then that was when the real fun happened. I mean, I still, even now, I've watched obviously I watched the game live. I've watched highlights back. I've watched several incidents again. I still don't know how we won that game, actually. It's probably I've watched Arsenal, 40 odd years now, and I don't think I can remember a game that we were so lucky to win than that one. But maybe when things are going your way, as it did with Leicester all those years ago, when things are going your way, they go your way, don't they? And maybe that's what happened yesterday a little bit, because it was a performance full of errors. It was a performance full of all the bad things about Arsenal that we thought we'd got rid of last season, but we still managed to win the game. So actually, none of that is that important at this moment. It's a little bit worrying maybe for the future, but we'll talk about it. I mean, Steve, what did you make of all that? Because it was a strange game, wasn't it? Because under normal circumstances, if Leeds had won that 4-1, we could have thought, well, actually, they probably deserved that and we couldn't really complain. But ultimately, we've come out of a 1-0 win.
So look, mate. So bottom line is the idiot that didn't charge the batteries in the ref's headset. First off, he should be shot and fired. I've never come across anything. So just from an officiating perspective, what a bunch of idiots. Honestly, what a bunch of idiots. Like, I could have told you. I knew it. My friend was sitting next to me. He turned around and said, they haven't charged the batteries on his headset. Guarantee it. And sure enough, that was what the problem is. As for the game, the officiating was awful.
Yeah,
absolutely terrible officiating. As for the team, I don't really care, mate. We got 3 points. In 100 years' time, it will still be, we got 3 points. Did we play well? No. Did we look knackered? Absolutely. Have we got a world-class goalkeeper? 100%, mate. 100%. That one, the man apple shot, right, full on in the man apples.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it would take. He's a bigger man than I, because I'd just be crying for my mummy if that was me. I'd just be crying for my mummy on that. I think defensively we played really well, to be honest with you. And they're talking about Marsh's. 2 players on Saka and 2 players on Martinelli, and we got the wing. Our wingers were out of the game, but there was loads of spaces. It looked to me, when I looked at our midfield, it just looked tired. Everybody absolutely looked tired. Yeah. And you look at the Bodo Glimt game, you've had the North London derby, beating Liverpool, who, oh my God, against Man City. What a game. When you look at that, I think it's a culmination of where we are. Do I think it's the worst game I've ever seen Arsenal play? Not at all. I've seen us play worse, and normally get beaten. So we deserve the win. I think Sky deserved to respect us for being top of the league and showing some other nonsense that wasn't on there, not actually playing us and showing our game, that we all had to go to other methods to actually watch the game. So all in all, yes, it wasn't a stellar classic performance going to go down in the annals of history. Did we win? Absolutely. Beautiful goal by Saka. Did they try what everybody has tried all the way through? And I've said this all the way through the season, but with 5 in midfield, trying to stop it, doubling up on everybody else. Absolutely. A load of space, and Saka smashes an absolute worldie in the back of the net. Do we have a brilliant goalie? Yes. Was Bamford missing that penalty funny? I couldn't stop laughing. But what it did, the one thing on a serious note, is our defence played exceptionally well. And I know Gabriel, and I'm sure you're going to talk about that. But the one thing I would say, it does show to me that in January we need to go out and buy a big unit of a striker. And we talked about this. We need a big unit of a striker. Jesus was kind of non-existent, actually. Eddie did well. But ultimately, mate, I don't really care. We come away from a really hard place to play. It's always a pain in the backside for us. Goalkeeper got it in the canasters and still kept going, and they missed the penalty. The gods were looking down on us, mate, and that's why we're top of the league today, and Man City lost. What could be wrong with that? Come on.
I mean, exactly, and I do feel as though, and I was thinking this yesterday quite a lot when the game was going on, actually, especially with some of the VAR decisions and whatnot, that, when you're doing well, when you're winning games, for some reason, things seem to go your way a lot more often than when you're not winning games. And maybe that's we've got that, we're on that run at the minute, aren't we? We're winning games, and even though we're not playing particularly well, the last 2 games in particular, we've not been that great, but we've managed to scrape out a 1-0 victory, which is very similar to the old days that we all remember, when 1-0 victories to Arsenal not playing well were quite commonplace and won us quite a few trophies, which is encouraging. But ultimately as well, it's that performance yesterday did worry me a little bit. I mean, I know Neil thinks we're going to win the league, and I know Neil won't be bothered that we didn't play particularly well again. But it's now, to me, it's 2 games a week now. We've got Europa League, we've got the Premier League games all the way up to the World Cup, and then God knows what's going to happen after the World Cup. So the squad's going to be really tested now. And the signs for the last 2 games, as Steve rightly said, we look tired, but Arteta doesn't seem to trust the squad enough, does he? He keeps picking the same players. Even for that Europa League game, he played quite a strong team, actually, didn't he? Saka played, and, a lot of the top players, if you like, the first team players played in that game, when maybe they could have done with a rest, and that may have helped us yesterday. I mean, Neil, what do you make of that thing? Do you think that Arteta's not making the best use of the squad, and that's why maybe we are looking tired at this moment in time?
I was surprised when we fielded a fairly strong team in the Europa games, but then I thought, hang on a second, it's imperative that we come top, because if we come top, we miss a whole round. Again, this is something I didn't know of until you guys, I think, told me while we were on the pod, actually, last time. So I think maybe his thinking is we need to secure the points in this Europa League to make sure that we get that top place. And then if there's still a game left or a couple of games left, then he can maybe relax and play the more, extend out to the squad a little bit more and feel those more of the fringe players. So I kind of mitigated that kind of surprise in my sense, thinking that way, that could be the reason. Having said that, I agree that they do look tired and they do look a little bit heavy on their heels and on their feet, and it is a bit of a worry. But the way I see it is, there's not many great teams that have come along in the past Rich, haven't had a bad 1 or 2 games and still come out on top. You know, this is to be expected. Leeds, Bodo and Leeds actually, if it wasn't for their poor finishing, you know, they might have won a couple of those games that they could have done. But we've got the rub of the green, and for so long we haven't had that. We just haven't. There's been many times where we have dominated games and come out with no points. So it's our turn now. You know, it's our turn, and this does happen in cycles. You'll see it with all the great teams that they have cycles of it. Look at Liverpool now. They're not the Liverpool that we've known in the last few years. City lost to Liverpool yesterday, but yet we beat them. You know, we've got to look at the whole picture and think we've got to hit that 10-game marker. We're playing as well as we possibly can be. We're probably surprised. Even I'm surprised. I didn't think we'd have 9 out of 10 wins. I thought we'd be doing okay after that, after what I saw in the pre-season friendlies. But I never thought we'd have 9 out of 10 wins. I mean, it's just incredible. And to be fair, we deserved at least a draw against the Man United game. It was just a couple of silly, lapses of concentration that led to them scoring those 2 goals. I'm not worried, Rich. I really am not. I know you think I'm overly positive, but I'm just I can only say what I see. And what I see at the moment is a team which is full of confidence. They've got that winning momentum. They've got that winning attitude, if you like. And yes, we are going to get tired. It was going to happen at some point. Leeds away is not easy. Bodo away was never going to be easy. They've got an artificial pitch. Most of those players, if not all of them, probably never even played on a surface like that before. Yet we still went away and won. We still got the result. You know, we went to Leeds, which is always going to be an oppressive ground. Yes, I did predict that mad 5-1, but I only said that. I did say, as a little disclaimer, if we start off fast and get a couple of quick goals, then I think we'll run away with it. Other than that, I think it will be a tough game, and it proved to be so. And look, I'll give credit where credit's due. Leeds were magnificent, especially the second half. They were brilliant. They were brilliant, but they didn't have the finishing product. And let's just say one thing about that penalty miss. I know there's other instances, and I'm sure the others want to have their say, but let me say something about that penalty miss. The penalty miss was justified because actually the move leading up to the penalty was offside. It was clearly offside, and no one picked up on it. So for me, I'm glad they missed it, because actually the move shouldn't have even, the penalty shouldn't have arisen in the first place. So there's many talking points in that game. I'm just glad we came away from the Ellen Road with the 3 points, still top of the league, and I think we'll be okay. I think he's going to field another strong team on Thursday, 100%. PSV is strong, number one. I'm sure he'll want to try and get 12 points, and if we get 12 points, I can see us finishing top by relaxing in the last 2 games. So I think he will, but you know, this is what it's all about. If you want to compete on 4 fronts, and if you want to be successful. Forget the tiredness, get that out of your mindset, and come away positive and think, we've had a hard couple of games. They weren't going to be easy, but now we're going to be back. We're back at home, and we will do the business.
Well, yes, I mean, you can't really argue with anything that you really said there, because that's what's been going on. It does worry me slightly that we seem to be relying on the same players game after game, and I don't think that's sustainable over a long season if we want to be successful. You know, we've had opportunities to rest players and it hasn't really been taken. And what worried me yesterday, again, and I don't like these thoughts when they come into my head, but unfortunately my eyes see things and, you know, my brain kind of reacts to them. And the one thing yesterday that I didn't like was the fact that Leeds made a big change at halftime, brought on Patrick Bamford. He scored within 20 seconds, which luckily got disallowed. And we didn't do anything to counteract that difference in the way that Leeds played. And that actually was why we had a lot of problems in the second half, I think, because we didn't adapt to the change that Leeds made. And Arteta's done that quite a lot in previous games before. He hasn't adapted. It's like, we're going to play our one way. He brought Rob Holding on with about 5 minutes to go, which he's done that before as well when winning 1-0. It's like, if you want to shore up the defence after 10 minutes of the second half when we were getting overrun and Leeds were looking likely to score a goal at any moment. But he kept it the same as it was. Tommy Asu was having a poor game, and, you know, Gabriel had a mistake in him, as we've seen. I don't know. A lot of things worried me yesterday, but ultimately we won the game. So I'm don't want to dwell too much on them, because we won, and that's the most important thing. But, you know, I want to try and look at it on a on the long-term basis, because it's a long season. And the last couple of games have started to put a little bit of worries in me in terms of that's not sustainable. You can't play like that for very long and get away with it. We got away with it twice in a week. And we did speak last week, didn't we, that the 3 games previous to that, we'd had less possession and still won the games. Obviously, I'm assuming that the last 2 games were the same, because I'm pretty sure Leeds had a lot more possession than us yesterday, and I'm pretty sure Bodo did in the week as well. So that'd be 5 games in a row now. We've had less possession and managed to win the game. But can we continue to do that? I mean, Michael, what did you make of all that yesterday? Because, you know, it was such an emotional game. I mean, you know, I was tired watching it, so God knows how the players felt, because it was quite a stressful, sort of 2.5 hours it seemed to go on for because of the delay and stuff like that. I mean, what did you make of it all? Because there was so much going on, wasn't there? You're on mute. I think you're on mute.
Can't hear you.
Oh, that's it. We can hear you now. Oh, no, we can't again. Is your microphone gone? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can hear you now. Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I'll agree with everything that Steve, yourself, and Neil said. You know, it's a combination of things. One, he's got to trust his squad more. Some of the lineups he's done in the Europa League and everything, you know, he needs to have a bit more faith in the guys that he's got out, especially the first game against Zurich when we were winning, and you've got to let these guys get it over the line, and he didn't. Yeah. He reacted. He put on all these 3 main players, and he's done that sort of every game since. You've got to take into account.
Bodo, didn't he, at home as well? He did it against Bodo.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So you've got to take into the account the last 3 games, the effort last 4 games, the effort that's come out of it. Obviously, the North London derby, you know what that's taken out of them. You follow that up with another game in Europe, and then you've got Liverpool. We know that, and also the fact that I don't know. I think did we leave Norway on Friday morning, and did we come back again? Did we have to go back up to Leeds?
Yeah,
and then you're stopping and starting. Then you go to Leeds, you get warmed up, you get ready for a game, you stop and start again because they can't charge your batteries up. Then you go in, you have an iffy first half performance where there was some good bits and not. Then you go into half time, you have another break, and then you go out again. You just can't switch it on. It's almost like turning the car over. After a while, if you keep stopping and starting it, it's just not gonna do what it's supposed to do. And I think they just obviously Arteta as well. He just didn't react in the second half, which was a bit of a worry. Whether that was positionally, because for me the front 3 and Odegaard they just fell off a cliff that second half. Every time the ball went up to them, they weren't holding it. And what that did, it just put our defence under loads and loads of pressure. And it was literally, backs against the wall stuff. And we all know what happens with that. You get away with some bits. You something deflects off you. You give away a penalty or whatever it is. If you keep getting that pressure put on you, so it was a combination of things. But obviously, yes, obviously delighted that we've won. But you can't keep like the other lot up the road. Your luck will run out eventually. You can't keep having games like this. And then, think you're going to get away with it. Eventually, something's going to happen. It can be pretty big, and you hope it's not too much of an impact, on the mental side. But yeah, but the thing is, he's going to play strong again on Thursday, isn't he? So,
of course, yes, of course,
he might be in the same boat again.
Yeah, I mean, this is a problem at the minute. I mean, I was kind of a couple of weeks ago, I was looking at the fixtures coming up, and I was kind of thinking that it's a tough run of games, some big Premier League games. Obviously, the North London derby, you said Liverpool. We knew Leeds away would be tough. The Europa League games, which were going to be difficult against Bodo because we didn't know too much about them, and the PSV. So I always felt that this was going to be a big crucial part of the season, and this is where the squad depth is so important, isn't it? Because we need to. Players need to have a rest. They do. And he's tried to do it a little, hasn't he? Xhaka's played in a couple of Europa League games, missed one, and Saka's missed one or a couple and played in one. And he's kind of trying to give everybody a little rest. But it's not, to me, that's not the best use of the squad that we've got. And yes, it's difficult because we need to win the Europa League group. We know the advantage of that. And we're top of the Premier League, and we don't want to be dropping silly points there either. So it's a tough one, isn't it? And maybe this is where the squad depth, that maybe we didn't strengthen enough last January. We didn't maybe bring enough players in the summer. I know you can't keep buying players, but we do seem the depth of the squad doesn't seem enough for what we hope is going to be a a title challenge, but possibly a good run in Europe, and obviously the domestic cups as well coming up. So I don't know. That's what worries me. But ultimately, we're in a far better position, as Neil rightly said. We're in a far better position than any of us would have imagined back in August.
Sure.
And we're not going to play well in every game. We're going to have spells where we don't play well. And it seems like we may be heading into one now. It used to always be November, didn't it? Was our month when everything fell apart. And maybe this season it's going to be October and we have a bad spell. But if we keep winning on our bad spell, then let's not be too worried about it. It's just when we stop winning and see how we respond. I mean, James has made a point in the chat. Good to see you, James. He says 7 hours prep we had compared to Leeds 7 days. Well, yeah, but I'm sure they would have been preparing for Leeds before that, wouldn't they? Tactically, I would imagine. I mean, Arteta's not just going to wait until we played Bodo and then think, well, okay, now we've got Leeds, we'll have to sort out that. I'm sure they'd have been working on stuff for Leeds as well because they had to have done, because, you know, you can't not do it, can you? John says, how you doing, John? He says, when does the League Cup and FA Cup games kick in? Well, the League Cup's going to be, we've got one in November, haven't we? The next round against Brighton. And then the FA Cup will kick in January after the World Cup. And then obviously, if we're still in the League Cup, we'll be playing that as well. Then the Europa League knockouts, if we're in that, it's just going to be, you know, plus all the Premier League games to fit in that's left still. It is going to be chaotic, isn't it, after the World Cup, I would say. But ultimately, we can't do anything about that. John says Arteta needs 3 or 4 more players for defence, midfield and forwards. I agree. Yeah, I do think we do need to strengthen in January if we're going to sustain where we are at this moment in time. But, you know, will we do it? We didn't do it last January, did we? Terry says there he's in Rochester just to walk around checking everything's working. Boring really, but plenty of coffee and food from the cake. Well, that's all right. As long as they keep you fed and that's all you need to worry about.
Yeah, where's your cake, mate? That's what I want to know. If they got cake for you, Terry, it's really important, mate.
John made a good point here. He says, let's remember Leeds beat Chelsea 3-0. They did, and they could easily beat us 3-0, but they didn't. Chelsea did have a few issues at that particular point. But no, you're right. They did beat Chelsea 3-0. They hadn't lost at home all season, actually. They hadn't lost at home for a while. So, you know, it was a great result. There's no getting away from that. It was a brilliant result for Arsenal. It just wasn't a great performance, was it? And we were very, very fortunate on a number of occasions. And our goalkeeper came to our rescue, which is what he's there for, ultimately, isn't it? I did want to talk about one player who's maybe causing me heart problems at the moment, and that is, of course, Gabriel at the back. He's playing okay, but he's making very silly mistakes virtually game by game now when he plays. He made another one on Sunday yesterday and got away with it in the end. He almost had a red card and a penalty, but he seems to be doing these things on a regular basis now. He's giving away goals every single week or making mistakes that are leading to goals. I'm a little bit concerned about that. I mean, is it time, do you think, Steve, for maybe a change in the back four? Maybe put Ben White in there and maybe put Tomiyasu back at right back in his more natural position? Or would you stick with Gabriel a bit longer and see if he can get through this little spell he's having?
Listen, right. Let's have a reality check here, right? You got Ben White at right back, right? You've got Tomiyasu at left. When we've got someone like Kieran Tierney, swap them into their proper places. Put Tomiyasu as a right back. Is that the guy is a machine and he's absolutely there. Just what we needed for Leeds, like that punch, that hard drive into that area. I can't remember who the their guy, the winger that they had was absolutely brilliant. It was really, really good. Tons of pace. And we should have had Tierney on the left. End of story, right? End of story. We should have gone in there, brutal, end of story, because that kid is world class. You know, Tierney's world class for me. And unfortunately, if there's not a place for Ben White with Gabriel and Saliba, and again, you know, we should be looking at the mistake that Saliba made is not his fault. You know, it's the kids. I can't believe that he's like 10 games into it, you know, in the Premiership, where they're already talking about Haaland versus it. So getting Tomiyasu on the wrong side, trying to play Ben White because we paid all that money for him, I don't really care. I don't really care. Going to your point, the Gabriel point, like you look at him, let's go back to we talk about the other team, the Charlton Athletic of North London, when they turned up at ours. He was really nervous. Like you could see the nerves that are in there. You could see the tackles that are going on. But if you look at the stats for Gabriel and you look at the way he's actually playing, you look at what's going, you look at the Jordan Henderson moment, what he did to him and what he said to him and the way he handled that. And yes, and by the way, everybody that's been going on about at me, I've had torrent of abuse going on about it was a penalty. It came off his chest and onto his arm. go read the rules. Yeah, go read the rules and get over yourself. Right. So for me, that kid has to stay in place. Yes, he's going to make a mistake, but it's not a Mustafi type mistake. Right. You know, yeah, we're going to have problems, but and I think Sean, who's on tonight, it's one thing Sean says is your goalkeeper. He says good goalkeepers will win you more points than they'll lose. They'll lose from mistakes. And Gabriel's in that same point. He's going to save us more points than he's going to lose us. So for me, we've got to stick with him because him and Saliba, absolutely, probably one of the best partnerships in the Premiership. We've got to have Tommy Ash on the right, not on the left.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. And maybe the fatigue is coming in as part of that. We've got to potentially rotate Ben White in and out of there because he's absolutely been brilliant. But he was exposed. I've been saying this all along, and in the chat, Rich, we've been talking about it. That ball over the top, the space that goes in, because you look at Ben White, he's naturally going to drift back into the central position, the same as Zinchenko as well. So Zinchenko does the same thing as he jumps into the midfield and leaves a big hole behind that Xhaka has to fill. Ben White does exactly the same at right back, and he was caught out. He was caught out yesterday. And Tommy Ash needs to be there. That's his natural position. The guy's really, really good. We just need to figure out how we're going to rotate Ben White in and out because there is plenty of football coming up. There's plenty of time, but we've got to keep Gabriel. I'm sorry, we can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying he's playing badly because I don't think he is. He's just making mistakes on a very, very regular basis. And is it nerves that kick in? I'm not really sure. Or is it just because of his lack of experience overall? Because he's still a very young player, isn't he? He's only, 23, 24, isn't he? So
he was top. I think he was top scoring central defender in the whole of Premier League last
season. He was. Yeah, but ultimately, though, his job's to defend, not really to score goals. That's a bonus, isn't it? That's not his job, is it? Really? I'm glad he scored all the goals, but what I'm saying is it's a bonus. If he scores no goals, but he's the best defender in the league, I'm quite happy. If he scores 5 goals, but he gives away 10 at the other end because making silly mistakes, and I'm not happy.
Played more games than any Arsenal player. I think it was last season as well.
Yeah, I think he did. Is that maybe what it is? Is it a little bit of fatigue coming in then? Is that maybe what it is?
Also, the other one, he's got Saliba on his shoulder, and everybody's comparing him to Saliba as well. So there might be a little bit of that going on. But look, he's world class. He's a brilliant player. He's been racially abused by an England player as well, which is disgusting.
Allegedly, we should say.
Allegedly, whatever. Listen, you don't get 4 Brazilians. You don't get 4 Brazilians going round him and backing him up from the.
No, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but we don't actually. There's no proof that it did yet. We can't make those wild accusations about England football.
Yeah, well, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, allegedly. Although, you get a gang of Brazilians starting on you because you said something. But look, the kid's under a lot of pressure at this moment in time. He's a world-class player, no doubt about it. He's got to play. We've got to stick with him. And you can see it. You can just see it from our goalkeeper, what he does, how comfortable he feels with it, right? How comfortable he feels by having. And again, you got to take your hat off to Ramsdale as well because he was a blind.
Yeah. He was brilliant. Yeah.
He was absolutely brilliant. Do you see the video, the abuse he was getting from the Leeds fans?
He always gets stick at Leeds, doesn't he? Because
and he was just soaking it up. It was as if it was just kind of driving him and everything else. So mate, as a unit, look, Tommy Ashu, Saliba, Gabriel, Tierney, Zinchenko, Ben White, mate. We've got to rotate those guys in and out. Absolutely, I get what you're saying. It might be a bit tough, but we've got to have our faith. We've got to have our faith in that back four. We've got to play our players in the right positions. End of story.
Yeah, in the right positions, 100%. Yeah, that's what we need to do.
I love him to bits. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And let's not forget, and I think it's been mentioned in the chat here, we've still got Emil Smith-Rowe to come back. We've still got Mo El-Neni to come back as well. We still need that striker. We still need a party cover as well. I mean, how you laugh, but listen, if we're doing
I think that if we're in a situation where we need Mohamed El-Neni to come back, then I'm slightly concerned. I've got to be honest.
Rotation. I'm talking about Rich
Smith-Rowe coming in is going to be a massive bonus.
Rotation. It's rotation.
Yeah, and the Europa League and the FA Cup and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm sure Nenny will come in really, really useful. But if he's got to play a lot of Premier League games, then to me that just goes to show that we haven't got the squad depth that we need to challenge for the top trophies. James made a good point there. He says he's never going to drop Gabriel. He loves a left-footed centre back. We don't have another one in the squad unless Gabriel is injured. He'll play, and that's kind of the problem, though, isn't it? Because every player shouldn't be undropped. No player should be undroppable. if you, for whatever reason, every player should be, their play should be under threat from somebody else, or just because if they're not playing well, they should be able to be left out. And we can cope with that. I think Saliba could play on the left side of the two with Ben White on the right if necessary, and I don't think that'd be a major problem. I'm sure Saliba could do that role. Yes, it is nice balance, isn't it? A right-footed and a left-footed centre back. It gives you more balance when you're attacking and stuff like that. But ultimately, we've got players who can. Rob Holding's come in and played there, hasn't he? And we've got. I know we don't want Rob Holding to play too many games, although he did all right yesterday when he come on. But yeah, that is an issue. You're right, actually. And he is the only left-footed centre back we've got. Maybe in January, that's an issue we need to look at. Buy another left-footed centre back so we can rotate that a little bit more without it interrupting the team. James says there again, since the inclusion of Saliba, we've been playing a high line this year. Yeah, higher, definitely. Yeah, Gabriel struggled with it. However, he was the best defender for us yesterday. Yeah, he probably was our best defender yesterday. I'm not going to disagree with that. But ultimately, right at the very end of the game, he made almost an error that could have been costly, that could have cost us the win. So, and he's done that in a few games recently. That's the other thing we've got to think about. John says there, stick with Gabriel. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if we should at the minute. I wouldn't be too disappointed if he had a rest. I'm not saying he's bad, but we just maybe need to give him a rest at this moment in time. Loki agrees with what Steve said, play the players in the right positions. Yeah, I think that's obviously what we should be doing. Sean says, I'll be more concerned about Ramsdale with back passes with his feet than Gabriel. Gabriel makes Saliba a better player. Being alongside him might make Gabriel appear worse than he is possibly. Yeah, I mean, is that as well? I mean, I do think that he's obviously helped Saliba settle in so quickly, without a shadow of a doubt he has. And I just feel as though maybe just the last few performances have been worrying, really. Loki says at the other end of the pitch, Martinelli gets better week by week. He does. He didn't have a great game yesterday, did he? I suppose, but none of the forward players did they? Didn't get the opportunity to. Really, that's the problem. Yesterday, they didn't get in the game, did they? None of them. But yeah, he's had a great season, Martinelli. I mean, Neil, I don't suppose you would be looking at changing Gabriel at this moment in time, would you? Do you think he needs to maybe play through this little spell he's having where he's playing pretty well overall, but these mistakes are starting to get to the point now where I'm thinking it's going to cost us sooner or later. It hasn't done so far.
The way I see it, if this is our bad patch, I mean, I'd take it all day long. I mean, as I said earlier, every team goes through a bad patch. Every top players go through bad patches. But they actually end up a lot worse off than we are as an individual and as a team. So I'm going to take this all day. I mean, I'll do a James here and look at some of his stats: 90% passing accuracy, 8 duels won, 3 tackles. I mean, yeah, all right. He had a couple of mistakes yesterday, but then the whole team wasn't playing well. No. I think was it Michael or Steve said earlier? I sorry, forgive me if I've got it which one it was, but because we were doing what we was doing at the front of the front end of the pitch, it was putting so much pressure on the back. And you can't. Sometimes mistakes from that are going to happen. But then again, we seem to be dismissing how well Leeds were playing. I don't think Saliba and Gabriel have been tested the way they were. Not even against Tottenham and Liverpool, who were kind of, letting us come onto them a lot in those games. Whereas Leeds were really going for it. And I think the two lads were fully tested, but they had that added pressure because of what was happening, in front of them. But yeah, all right. I obviously I had my heart in my mouth. I mean, I didn't have the stream, but I was listening to it on the Arsenal website. You can listen to the audio, and I thought, God, is he giving away a penalty? And then when I saw it on Match of the Day, he did lash out, and that was wrong of him to do that. I'm not suggesting for a minute that I'm going to defend that. He shouldn't have done it. And okay, maybe we were a bit lucky for him to get away with that, but there is no doubt in my mind that Bamford pushed him onto the floor. So, again, we can say that, were we lucky to get away with the penalty? Well, from that point of view, it wasn't a penalty because it was Bamford that actually floored him initially, and he just reacted to that. So it was the right decision in my mind at the end of the day. I think your worries and concerns are well justified. All of you, all three of you, I really do, because I'm not being silly. I'm trying to be realistic, and we do need to strengthen still. We haven't finished. This isn't the complete picture yet. No. We were all hoping we would get a couple of players in the summer. It didn't happen, or a couple more players in the summer. That isn't forgetting that we have signed well up to that point. We've made some significantly good signings, of course. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are now. And I do believe, I know January normally is quite a bland and bleak time as far as shopping is concerned, but I think this window will be different. I think Arteta knows, especially the way we've started.
Yeah.
He's probably himself thinking, do you know what? We might have a chance here at the title. So if that's the case, I am going to have to buy. I'm going to have to pull all the stops. He can have a break at the World Cup because he's not actively involved in it, and he can take that time to start doing some research on some players that we might be able to get hold of. And I think I won't be surprised if we get 2 key players in January. I really do believe that. So that might solve our problems for next year. So we've only got a few more games to go. Yeah, and I think if I've looked at the fixture list, and I'm sorry, they're all winnable, all of them. So if we can do 90% of that up to the World Cup, I don't have any concerns at the moment. But I totally respect and understand where you guys are coming from as well. But no, Gabriel, I think we need to keep with him, because I don't think that's going to do his mentality any good if we just suddenly, stop him playing. Now, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite here. Just quickly, one more thing I'll say, because I've always been saying for quite some time, Saka needs a break. And I've said it over and over again. Saka needs a break. And now look at him. He's gone back to last season and this maybe the season, a little bit of the season before, where it was the whole team was relying on Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe. And it's almost like now again, he's the star boy. So what happened to the rest? He didn't need it. So maybe Gabriel will come through this little patch and he might come back stronger than ever. If anything, I thought actually yesterday, for the first time, Saliba was the weaker of the two, and it was Gabriel that was holding him up. So
he was in that game yesterday. He was, I thought he was the weaker of the two.
Yeah.
But...
So if one day one player is slightly weaker, but the other one is there to support, and vice versa. I remember Vieira and Petit used to work very much like that. If Vieira made a mistake, Petit was there to mop up, and vice versa. If these two can work that way and have that great relationship, just let them continue. If they're fit and able to do so, just let them continue. And as I said, there's only a few more games left before the World Cup break. So I'm okay with it.
Does that call being a team? Does that call playing as a team? That's what team players do, don't they?
Cover for each other. Yeah, exactly.
But we're doing it, Steve. We're doing it. We are doing it.
No, we are.
We're doing a podcast. It's like a teamwork going on here, Rich, coming straight on. That's what.
No, exactly. No, it is. I mean, it's interesting that you talk about the World Cup, because what happens is when the World Cup's in the summer, what tends to happen is after the World Cup, a lot of players that played in the World Cup then are transferred from one club to another because they catch the manager's eye and this, that, and the other, or their contracts are coming up. And maybe having a World Cup in the winter this time is going to maybe see a busier January window than perhaps we would normally have got because of the World Cup just finished, potentially. So, yeah, maybe we will sign. And I do think you're right about the fact that now suddenly the season's gone a lot better than any of us kind of hoped it would. That suddenly now it's like, if we don't strengthen in January, it's going to be a massively missed opportunity, because not necessarily to win the league or whatever, maybe whatever we do, we can or we can't. But if we want to compete for the rest of the season in all the competitions that we're in, we do need more players in January. And hopefully this good start is going to force that almost on them. Like you said, that we can't come out and say, well, actually, we're not going to buy anybody. We'll wait till the summer. No, let's do it now while we're doing well and reinforcing what we've got. And I agree, that could be what happens. We'll have to see. But that would be my thinking, definitely, especially with the way the squad is definitely short at this moment in time in certain positions, as we've said. I mean, Michael, would you be looking to sort of change too much in these games coming up between now and the World Cup? There is a lot of games to fit in a fairly short pace of time. It's a month or so, isn't it, that we've got to go, just over a month. And we've got, 3 Europa League games. Is it 4 or 5 Premier League games as well, all to squeeze in? A lot of games. Do you think we need to rotate the squad a little bit more than we have done? Or would you stick with what we've been doing, keeping the same 11 roughly in the Premier League and, rotating 4 or 5 in the Europa League? Or would you sort of try and do more rotation and give some of these squad players more minutes on the pitch? Because they need them, don't they, clearly?
I think he has to go strong on Thursday. He has to go as strong as possible on Thursday. Then once that's out the way, and if we get the positive result, as Neil was saying, with the games that we've got, up until the Chelsea game on, is it the 6th of November?
Yeah.
He can then, respectfully rotate and get certain people in, give them some minutes, give people the blower and everything. For me, it's all about Thursday. Get that one out of the way, get that one sorted, play your strongest team, get the win by hook or by crook. If we're lucky again, fine. Just get the 3 points. And then after that, he's in a position when, we've got PSV obviously again away after that, but we're in a position, a really strong position, and then he can play strong again away from home in that one again, and then again just rotate and give people a blow. I mean, as we've mentioned before, Leeds are, an absolute horrible side to play against. It's easy to forget that, but we used to say when we played Leeds, it was just pain. You just watched it. It was a horrible game to watch. This is one bit when we all know as Arsenal fans, watching games against Leeds were horrible on a different sense in the late 90s, where they used to just kick the crap out of us. You all remember what happened, with Nelson Vivas at the far post. Always horrible games, but this is horrible in the sense that they just keep running. They're probably the fittest team in the league.
Yes.
And all this stuff about, it's all right, they can't keep it up. They'll tail off after this. That's not the case anymore in the Premier League. No. All these guys are middle distance runners, so they were just going to keep going and keep going. So yeah, the fact that we stuck in there, we've got to take that as credit. But there was a stat last year where it said when you played against Leeds, the amount of errors that teams made, unforced errors made against Leeds were higher against Leeds than any other team in the league. I don't know. I've read it somewhere, and that's what they're about. They're in your face. So they lack that quality at the top end. They did the same against Palace last week, where they were in control, and they couldn't finish. So they're a horrible team to play against. So we've got to sort of just take what we can. And but no, on your question, which definitely we have to rotate. He's got to trust the squad. It's his squad. He has to trust it. There's no one else. He built it with Edu. So if he's not playing these guys, then he can't blame anybody else when it comes to February, March, and we maybe got one or two injuries, and then he's turning around. Maybe people are, or a form or whatever, or injured. He has to trust the players that he's brought in. And we know they're good enough. We've got a really strong squad. That back four, we can play any one of that back four. Maybe I think Steve said at the top, and yourself, Rich, at the top said we've lacked the possession numbers have gone down quite considerably the last couple of games. I think that's since Zinchenko's been out the side, possibly. I don't know, maybe someone's going to correct me in the chat, but I think since Zinchenko's come out the side, we've dropped on that possession and that domination of the ball. We've maybe done it in spell, but in total of a whole game like we had done, we haven't really done that. So that's the only worry, that we haven't got him there to do that, to dominate teams and overpower them with the quality. But that back four, the players that we've got, the numbers that we've got, they're all good enough. Maybe Holding is the one that's maybe you drop the level a little bit, but he's got to trust him. He's got to rotate. He has to.
I mean, you're saying about obviously going strong on Thursday, and yes, that's going to be a difficult game. They're a good side, PSV. They're probably the next strongest team in the group, and we saw how good Bodo were, and PSV are going to more likely be better than them. Plus, as well, it's Ruud van Nistelrooy as their manager, and we want to get one over him, don't we? Of course. So, but which game's bigger? Is the PSV game bigger, or the Southampton game away? Because that's a difficult game, and we will look at that in a bit more detail as well. But that's a difficult game traditionally for Arsenal away at Southampton as well. We lost there last season, of course, don't forget. So, if we're going to rotate and rest, which game do we prioritise for the rotation and the resting? Is it the PSV game or is it Southampton? I mean, to me, we need to play a strong team in both games, really. But they're looking tired. It's getting to that point in the season now where these things are suddenly starting to become things that we need to think about. And we don't need to think about, but certainly the management need to think about it. We can think about it as well. But ultimately, what we think doesn't matter too much because we don't pick the team. But I mean, which game would you look to rotate more in there, Michael? Would it be the PSV game or the Southampton game?
It would be. I would say the Southampton game, but rotation could be one or two players. It could be three. I would rotate more in the Southampton game, definitely. They seem to have our number as well. They're one of those funny teams, aren't they? They could be on a shocking run. They were on a shocking run last year, weren't they? They hadn't won in how many games, and then they turned us over. Yeah, I don't know how we lost that game because we had so many opportunities in that one as well. So just one of those funny teams. But no, I would definitely rotate more in the Southampton game. But that could literally mean taking out just two players and just freshening it up and do that rather than a whole. He's not going to do 5 or 6. He's not going to do that. So it's just going to be 1 or 2.
Who would you take out? Who would you take out,
Michael? Possibly Jesus, I think.
Okay.
And who else is there? There's probably one of the fullbacks is probably Tierney coming in, or Ben White coming out, and then putting Tomiyasu across the other side, like you said earlier, and so possibly something like that. But it will obviously depend on the fitness and what happens on the game on Thursday. Who what the fitness levels are like. But Jesus looks at he was really off yesterday, and done a couple of little bits, but that miss was bad.
Is he carrying an injury, do you think? Because it was doubts he was even going to play at one point. So it may be he's carrying a knock. Maybe that might have explained yesterday.
Yeah, just wondering if it's that, or if it's just the battering he got last Sunday. Still, if he's still getting over that. But yeah, I'll probably if it was a just probably those two changes, possibly something like that. Give Eddie a run. He's Southampton are not that good, are they? Really, and he should be able to cause a bit of havoc up there with his runs, Eddie. Against them.
Did he not come into the side against Southampton last season and didn't do much in that game against Southampton? Because Lacazette got injured again before.
Yeah, but then the season before, wasn't it? He came in and he scored a really scrappy goal when he chased the ball down or something like that, didn't he? When it was COVID, when there was
he did. That was I think that was a season. That was a COVID season, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was COVID season. Yeah. We'll see.
I'd be looking at Odegaard. I think Odegaard looks tired.
Yeah, Odegaard as well.
Yeah, Vieira could do with some more game time anyway, because he's doing well every time he plays. So I wouldn't have a problem with Vieira coming in and doing a job. Yeah. Manquillos as well. I'd like to see him play a bit more in the Premier League. Give him some more minutes. I mean, we've got these players that look. Yes, they're not the finished article yet. They're still young players, but we've got players that are sitting on the bench that can come in and do that rotation job. I think they can do it in the Premier League. And if you're not going to trust them away at Southampton, then you're certainly not going to trust them against Man City or against Liverpool or against them other teams or Manchester United, are you? So these are the opportunity to get them in the team, isn't it, for me in the Premier League? But yes, I mean, there's Sean said there Southampton is bigger. I kind of think Southampton is bigger, and James agrees there. He says Sunday's a priority. Got to stay at top of the table. I mean, I kind of think that Southampton is more important at this moment in time. Definitely, it's a more important game out of the two. But we know the Europa League, if we win the group, it's a massive advantage as well. So it's a tough one, isn't it? It really is. And I'm kind of thinking that I want us to play. I want to win every game, but I don't know if it's possible with the squad.
You won't be saying that when we finish second and we draw Juventus or Barcelona in the playoff round.
I will batter Barcelona. I will batter them. We will. I'm telling you now, right? Take this now. We get Barcelona Europa. We will absolutely bury them. We will bury them. It's not the Neymar, Messi show like that we had all them years back at the Emirates, right? I was there and I witnessed that absolute. And
we still beat them, Steve.
Yeah, we will batter them. We'll batter this team. Listen, there's two competitions that's really important to me, right? Top four for us. Well, we've got to get top four, and I think that's within our reach. That's going to happen, all right? And everybody needs to just calm it down a little bit. We're going to win, and we're going to batter Man City and Haaland. Who's Haaland?
You just said we're going to batter Barcelona.
Yeah, we are the rubbish. Oh my God! Look at the stats. There was some stats that came out of the managers that have ever taken over Barcelona. I think is it Xavi or whatever his name is. He's got more losses. He's like a 50% win rate at this moment. So I got absolutely battered in El Clasico by Real Madrid. So mate, we're like, listen, right? They may as well go and play in the Scottish League because that's how rubbish they are. That's what I'm saying. There's two really, really important things for us: top four and Europa League. Right? They are the absolute most important. And I love the FA Cup and not so much the Carabao. But come on, no one wants the Carabao Cup. Come on, seriously, that's the Tottenham thing. But those are the two most important. The important ones, because if we win the Europa League, we're guaranteed Champo, right? If we get top four, we're guaranteed Champo. That's it, right? And if we win both, hopefully we could probably nick a spot, and Tottenham won't get anywhere near it again, and they'll cry with Conte and all that nonsense. So look, they are the most important. They are the focus. They are absolutely every single thing that we must go for as a team. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Marquinhos needs to come in. Vieira needs to come in. The whole piece. But ultimately, right? Thursday night, that is an absolute must win. That's an absolute must win, because we're going to get ourselves 2-3 games where we don't have to pay our top guys. Sunday comes, we've got to batter them. We've got to absolutely batter Southampton, and show them why we deserve respect for being at top league. We're not at the top of the league for no reason at all. It's not because we're a bit rubbish or fluky things that have gone in. And yes, we had a really bad go on Sunday, but those are the two most important parts to Arsenal and to win those, right? The rest of it, honestly, the Cowbell Cup, couldn't care less. Couldn't care less about that. I know it's horrible. FA Cup, I love the whole part that goes with it. But if we get knocked out early, great. We get knocked out early. But the Europa League, and absolutely top.
Yeah, but you see, Steve, that the issue is with all that, and I kind of agree with you. I think the Europa League and the Premier League are the two most important competitions, without a shadow of a doubt. But you know, if we sacrifice the Carabao Cup and then, as we've done the last couple of years, sacrifice the FA Cup, if we then get knocked out of the Europa League before we get to the final, and if we drop down out of the top four, then you know, at least we'd have had the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup to fall back on. And, you know what I mean? And I know you can't win everything. We haven't got the squad to. We're not Liverpool from last season. We can't compete for every single trophy. We can't. We haven't got the depth. We haven't.
Rich, your most important game is your next game.
That is true. It is, unless it's a Carabao Cup game. Maybe that's not quite so important.
Not interested. Leave it for Tottenham. Leave that one for Tottenham. We have got to listen. Like we have got to.
No, let's not leave it for Tottenham. Don't let Tottenham win it.
Steve, Tottenham don't even win that. What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, they don't.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Leave it for Tottenham because it'll be great for us on the podcast. So it'll just give us like weeks and weeks. I need a St. Totteridge Day. I just need it. I need that to happen, right? But look,
we do need that,
the bottom line is, right, we have got a very, very good team. We're absolutely right. And everybody on here has turned around and said the same thing. Play the players in the right place. Come on, Mick.
Yeah, that is fundamental.
Like, we've got Tommy Ashu, world class. There was a conversation, like the conversation that we had with the Tottenham fan a few weeks ago, going, "It's world class," and you know, you can
that was a good show.
That.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and then we wipe the floor with them. We've got a world class team. We've got world class players. We've got, like I say, the likes of Marquinhos that's sitting there. We've got Sambi Lokonga. Sambi Lokonga having a go at Martinez. Have you seen that? Came out absolutely going mental at the Belgian coach because he wanted to. He wants to play. He desperately wants to play. Hasn't said anything to Arteta about stop playing second fiddle or whatever. Has gone mental at the Belgian coach. Actually, putting himself in a position where he won't be in a World Cup, like the way he's actually talking about Roberto Martinez, actually coming out and saying it. So we've got some amazing players in our team that we should be scared to actually blood. We should be able to, and you've had the likes of Odegaard, who has been a revelation. Not interested. Who's the Leicester bloke? Everyone keeps going on about. Madison Odegaard. Oh my God! Don't even go there, that idiot. Like, don't even go there. It's like it's not. It's such chalk and cheese. Like, Odegaard has been absolutely amazing. He's our captain. You've got Xhaka, who's also our captain. Like, and he's kind of come back to. We've got these amazing players that are in our team. We should, and we seem to be, as Arsenal fans, scared to actually turn around and say anything that even turns around and says, "Do you know what? We've got a good team. Yeah, we're going to get top four. Hey, we could win the Europa League." Like, what is it? What is it with it? You got the punditry, not even a respect to show us on Sky. Not even a respect to us. We're top of the league, for God's sake, when nobody else won it. So before I get off my rant, right, I absolutely agree with everything we say. But the two most important to us has got to be Europa League. There's got to be top four, right? And that's where we're at. So we play our strongest team. We absolutely go for it. And if we get an injury, do you know what? I'm comfortable with Vieira coming in. I'm comfortable with Marquinhos coming in and doing the job. And Sambi and all the others that go in there. And what we should be doing is when we go down there on Sunday, we should absolutely annihilate them. No respect, no nothing. When we go down to Southampton, to St. Mary's, right? I know that's 5 minutes from where I live. So just go in and absolutely annihilate them, show no respect, because you know what? We haven't shown any of these clubs respect from the beginning of the season. Not one bit of respect from any of our own players. And I love it. That's what I love about them. That's what I absolutely love about this team. It's no longer, we're not the nice guys that can get booted around. No respect. Get in there, absolutely no respect, and just run them ragged. That's what we've got to do.
We did get booted around a bit yesterday by Leeds, to be fair, but yeah, we generally haven't as much as normal. That's true. James says there the league is a priority. This club has to get used to finishing as high as possible again after 2 8th place and a 5th place finish. I agree with that. Yeah, the Europa League's a bonus. The league is a measuring stick. It is, and I kind of, I think maybe we all took for granted a little bit, didn't we? Finishing top four every single season. You know, that's where we were. We were top four, and now we're not in it. It almost feels like we need to get there now. That's got to be what the aim's got to be. And Yes, I kind of agree with that, and I do think the league is the priority. Of course, it is, because that's how you judge a team, isn't it? The best team wins the league, the second best team comes second, and all that, all the way down. So yeah, I do feel the league is a priority for us, and we haven't finished as high up the league in the last few years as we should be for a club of our stature. So yeah, I do agree with that, James. But for me, we've only ever won 2 European trophies ever in our history, and that's not enough. It's nowhere near enough. You know, when you look at the European trophies that a lot smaller clubs than us have got, do you know what I mean? And we have only got 2, and it's nowhere near enough. And I would love to see us win another European trophy. And this season, I believe we've got a great chance in that Europa League. I really do, because the quality of the teams in it isn't as strong as maybe it's been in some previous seasons, I don't think. And I think we've got a great chance. We have. And I would love us to win a European trophy. That would just be amazing to see that again. 1994 was the last time. I mean, that's far too long, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's far too long. So we need to put that right, and I would love to see that. But yeah, ultimately we need to finish as high up the league as we can. I totally agree. Yeah. John says there Southampton could be a minefield because they're scrappers. Yeah, you're right, and we haven't got a great record on their ground over the years. It's not been one of our happiest places to go, is it? But ultimately, we need to get a result this time. John says there play the reserves in the Carabao Cup. Premier League is priority. I'd like an FA Cup. Yeah, I mean, the FA Cup's been our trophy, hasn't it, over the years? We've won it the most times, and it's the one that we kind of seem to always pull out the bag, don't we? I suppose more than anything else. But I think our priorities need to just shift slightly. The top 4 that's got to happen this season. It's got to, and a European trophy for me would be just amazing, because it's been far, far too long, and we need one, and I want to win that one because it'll be great. Why don't we have a quick look then at Thursday night then, and the return to the Emirates of an old friend of ours. Of course, we all love Van Nistelrooy, don't we? What a fantastic fella he is. And what a fantastic player he was for Manchester United all those times. And, we'll never forget that game at Old Trafford, will we? An incident very similar to what happened yesterday with Gabriel and Bamford, actually, wasn't it? I suppose it brought back memories of that. I mean, Van Nistelrooy is now coming back to the Emirates. I'm sure he's going to get a great reception from the fans, of course. I'm sure he will. And let's hope that he goes away with the right result that we want for him, as we didn't maybe beat him enough when he played for Man United, unfortunately. And I'll never forgive him scoring that penalty when they ended a 49-game run. Why couldn't he have missed that one as well? Do you know what I mean? It's all he had to do was miss that one as well, and then we would have, we'd still be unbeaten now. 550 games later, we'd still be unbeaten if he hadn't scored that penalty. So we need to make sure that we get revenge for that, and we put them to one side on Thursday. Now, James did put his team selection in for this game. This is what James will go with on Thursday, right? Which isn't a bad side. Turner, Tomiyasu, Holding, Gabriel Tierney, Xhaka, Lokonga, Vieira, Saka, Martinelli, and Nketiah. That's the team that James would go with, which is a fairly strong team. A few changes. I think maybe Manquillos I'd like to see playing, and maybe instead of Martinelli, perhaps. What would you do for that game, Neil? Would you be looking at a team similar to James's, or PSV are a good side? And someone said they'd won 6-1 at the weekend in their domestic league. They're a good team. What sort of team would you want to put out on Thursday? Obviously, we need to get the result as well, but bearing in mind we've got Southampton on Sunday.
No, I said it earlier. I think he will. It's not about what I want. I think Arteta is going to put a strong team out, because PSV is tough. We want to get bragging rights over that lovely friend of ours. That I hope Keon's in the stadium, and he can just go and shake his hand one more time, just to make sure that he knows that they're good friends. And I'd love to see that. I just think Arteta is going to put a strong side out. I think James has probably got pretty much in a nutshell. I'm with you though, Rich. I would also like to see Marquinhos. I think there's something very, very special about him. The snippets I've seen of him, I think he's going to be a wonderful player, very much like Vieira. I will even go as far as say that Vieira could even become. I love Odegaard to bits, but I think Vieira's got a finishing product as well. I think Odegaard tends to shy away from triggering when he's in front of goal. I don't know why he does it, because he's got a good shot. And that's the bit, it doesn't make any sense. Why is he still looking for that extra touch? Why is he looking for that extra pass? Just bloody shoot. Sorry to swear. Just shoot. Just pull the trigger. And I think Vieira won't do that. I think Vieira's got pretty much everything that Odegaard has got. I think he'll just have that finishing product on him. As we've seen, he's scored one wonderful goal already. And
he's got 2 goals already.
2. Well, there you go. So he's got 2. So there you go. In the short space of time that he's played, or the limited number of minutes.
Well, Odegaard's got 3. He plays nearly every game. Vieira's hardly played, and he's got 2. So that kind of shows, doesn't it? He's going to probably score more goals than Odegaard if he played as many minutes. I think there's no doubt about that.
So I'd like to see Vieira. I'd like to see Marquinhos. I think you guys are spot on about that. I think he can still field a strong squad on a first 11 on Thursday, but he can have those 2 players included. I'm sure he can. Yeah. And then of course, if it doesn't work out, then you can bring the other guys on from the bench, and because we're at home, no one has to travel, so they can have it. We can have quite a good a lot of the seniors sitting there on the bench, ready to come on if need be. But I think that's how we should go. But it will be a strong lineup for sure. I'd just like to say one thing. I know you guys kind of dismissed the Caribou Cup. I'm not quite with you on that, and only for the reason because I think it will give the opportunity to even the lesser fringe players to have a run around, and it'd be nice for us to progress. Even I'm not saying we go all the way and win it, but if we can go as far as possible, he can then utilize more of the squad, and they can play in that cup, and I think that will be really good for the morale of the whole club. Because you've got to remember one thing, it's no point saying, well, yeah, like the FA Cup, not really bothered about the Caribou Cup. But the point is, if we keep winning, that winning momentum, that mentality keeps breeding, and it's good for the whole, not just for those particular competitions. So I kind of disagree with that, and I think it will give more of we can extend the squad even further if we do progress in those competitions for sure. But yes, I agree. The focus is the league, absolutely number 1 priority. Yeah. And Europa Cup does come second, because I'm with you, Rich. 2 European trophies in our history is not good enough. Not for a club of ours, our stature. It shouldn't be.
It's the only thing that other clubs have got over us that they can always mention. Other fans of other clubs, they can't say anything about how many league titles we've won. They can't say anything about the FA Cups that we've won, but they can say stuff about European trophies because we haven't won enough. And to me,
and you know what? I think because we've never won the elite European trophy, I think that's why we always get, put down. Yeah, because all the others have done it now. Even Chelsea, all right, Tottenham don't win anything, so that doesn't matter. They're a nothing team. But we've been around a lot longer from a success point of view, Steve, than Man City have. So the emphasis comes on us. It's like, but as good as they can talk about invincibles and they can talk about this and talk about that, and they're the record holders and number of FA Cups. But have they won the elite European trophy? No, they haven't. And I think we really need to get that under our belt. And you know what? I think even some of the pundits who are so against us, they will change their tune a little bit, because then we've done that, we've accomplished that. So it's imperative. My prediction for that is we'll have that in our under wraps within 2 seasons or 3 seasons for sure. Because once
didn't Willian say that when we signed him as well?
Yeah, but I'm not Willian. But yeah, he'll go strong on Thursday. He will go strong on Thursday.
I think. Well, I don't think we can afford not to at this point in time. John says, I still remember Martin Keown in Ruud van Nistelrooy's face after the penalty miss. Yeah, that's one of the most famous Premier League moments, isn't it? In Premier League history, that everyone remembers where they were when that happened. I mean, unbelievable scenes that was that day. And yes, I hope Martin Keown's in the stadium actually on Thursday rather than in the studio. Being a pundit, I hope he's at the ground and he can greet Ruud van Nistelrooy as he comes into the stadium, and they can reacquaint themselves with each other after the fun and games that they had there. I mean, for me, Michael, this is the thing, right? On Thursday, because it is. I've got nothing against PSV. We haven't got a great record against them. They've knocked us out of Europe before and all this kind of stuff. And I don't like them for that reason. But I've got nothing against them as a club. But because it's Van Nistelrooy, we have to beat them just on that basis alone. Whoever he's manager of, if we play him, we've got to beat him, haven't we? We can't let him get one over us again, can we? We just can't do it.
No, he's a bit like with Gerrard as well. He's always had a good sort of record against us. So it's always good to turn any of his sides over. But yeah, Van Nistelrooy. Yeah, he's piece of work, and I'm sure he'll have a hot reception from the Arsenal fans that sit behind that dugout. They're pretty brutal. I think James is one of those that mob that sits behind there. So I don't know if he's there.
Oh well,
I know he's in the chat. But James, you have one job, mate. You have one job.
Yeah,
just giving pelters all game if you're there, mate.
No, he definitely will deserve it as well. There's no doubt about that. Funnily enough, the a little weird fact about PSV Eindhoven is we've previously played them 3 times at home in European competitions, and an Arsenal player has never ever scored a goal in any of those games. Did you realise that? We scored twice. They were both own goals by the Brazilian Alex. He scored own goals in both the 2 games at home that we scored in. We drew 1-1 on both occasions, and it was. I know we beat him 1-0 once. Alex scored an own goal. I think 2 years later we drew 1-0 with him at the Emirates, and Alex scored an own goal in that game. So no Arsenal players ever scored against PSV at home. We did beat him 4-0 away. If you remember, Gilberto Silva scored that goal in about 20 seconds, the fastest ever European Champions League goal at the time. I don't know if it still is, actually. It might well be. But at home, an Arsenal player's never scored. So I wonder if who's going to be the first Arsenal player to score a home goal against PSV. That's going to be on Thursday. So maybe if you like betting on the first goal scorer, maybe look at that and think about the first. That'll be the first in history. That's amazing. When we've played them 3 times at home, no Arsenal players ever scored. I just find that an amazing stat. And I don't think there must be any other team that we've played 3 times at home that an Arsenal player's never scored in. There can't be anybody else ever. So that's amazing. James says, I've never sat behind the away dugout and abused any opposition manager or player. No, of course you haven't, James. No. We would never assume that you would do such a thing, of course.
Is that a pig that's just flying across there?
Yeah, exactly. But we are relying on you on Thursday, though. So you've got as Michael said, you've got one job to do. So make sure that you do a good job there with our old friend, because he deserves it. There's no doubt about that. And of course, after PSV, we are back in the competition at the moment that we're doing quite well in. Now, I've got some stats at Southampton, actually, which might not necessarily be great. We've visited St Mary's 16 times since they obviously moved to the new stadium. I mean, it doesn't sound too bad, I suppose. We've won 6, drawn 4, and lost 6. So it's not a great record. And in the last 6 visits, we've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 3. So in recent years, it's not been quite so good. For some reason, it's one of them grounds where we do tend to struggle a little bit in. We did lose last season, as we said, but they beat us in the FA Cup the season before. We lost that game 3-2. Remember, we was unbeaten for about 25 games under Unai Emery. That was a game that we lost. We ended that run there, didn't we? So, it's been one of them sort of grounds. Do you remember that 4-0 defeat there when we were top of the league on Boxing Day a few years ago, when obviously Arsene Wenger was still there? We got hammered 4-0. We never really recovered from that. So, we've had some moments. But actually, Southampton away there's been some famous events that's happened. Alan Shearer scored his first goals of his career against us, a hat-trick away at Southampton in 1988. Ian Wright scored his first league goals for Arsenal, a hat-trick as well. That was in 1991. Bergkamp scored his first goals against Southampton. That was at home, obviously. Thierry Henry scored his first goal for Arsenal away at Southampton. So there's been some really famous kind of moments. The very last game that Southampton played at the Dell was also against Arsenal as well. We lost that game 3-2. Letitia scored the winner in the last minute. And also as well, a game against Southampton was the first game of our 49-match unbeaten run. We beat them 6-1 at Highbury. That was the first game. So there's been some, and also as well, one that's not so good was I spoke about it with Paul Davis on the show the other week. It was against Southampton, of course, when he got that ban for the Glenn Cockrell incident. So Arsenal and Southampton have had quite a few kind of moments actually in history, and whether there'll be another big moment this weekend, I'm not sure. Also as well, of course, Southampton were the team that we beat in the FA Cup final in 2003. The only time we've ever retained, I don't know, that's the first time we retained it. We retained it again in 2015, but that was the first time we'd ever retained the FA Cup, beating Southampton in the final. So I'm not too sure if there's going to be so much drama maybe this game perhaps, but we don't know. Just a few players that's played for both Arsenal and Southampton we'll run through quickly. Obviously Theo Walcott and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain that we know, Callum Chambers as well, and also as well Ainsley Maitland-Niles is there on loan, isn't he, at the moment? Has he been playing? Does anyone know? I've not really been following their games too much.
He came up with something the other day. He's turned around and basically he was having a whinge about saying that they're dropping off. So what he's saying with Southampton is that they're not keeping the pressure up. They're not driving. They're not sort of run. Yeah, they're getting to a point where they're sort of drawing or winning or whatever they do, and then towards the end of the game they're dropping off, and that's how they're losing their games. So for Ainsley Maitland-Niles to come out and whinge like that tells you everything you need to know. Did we do them 6-1? Because I was there. We do 6-1 in the FA Cup at theirs.
5-0 it was. We beat them 5-0 in the FA Cup.
Yeah, that's it. I remember Welbeck was just like on fire.
He was, yeah.
Yeah,
Walcott scored a hat-trick that day, actually. Welbeck scored 2. Walcott scored a hat-trick. No, that was a good day. I think it was pouring down with rain from what I remember. A couple of other players that played for both clubs. Charlie George, famous Arsenal player, of course, won the double. And Steve Williams as well, one of my favourite Arsenal players, obviously was at Southampton. He was good. Alan Ball as well. And, of course, who can forget Perry Groves? Fantastic Perry Groves. He played briefly for Southampton when he left Arsenal as well before his injuries ended his career. So, some big names there. And, of course, Cedric Suarez as well, who's currently in our squad but can't get a game. He, of course, came from Southampton as well. And the goalkeeper, Richard Wright. Do you remember how good he was? He played for Southampton as well. What a great goalkeeper he was for us, Richard Wright. So fair play to him. But yeah, there's been a few others as well in history, some older players as well. But yeah, so Arsenal and Southampton have crossed swords quite a lot. 104 games we've played against them. We've won 53, they've won 23, and there's been 28 draws. What are we thinking then for Sunday? It's a big game, obviously. We want to, bearing in mind everyone else is playing a Premier League game in midweek. Well, Man City aren't because our game against them has been postponed, but everybody else is playing a Premier League game. So we'll still be top anyway, regardless of that, because we're 4 points clear, so it doesn't matter. Plus, Man City aren't playing, but we're going to go into that game with again the opportunity to maintain our place at the top. Steve, what are you kind of thinking of? They're your local team, aren't they, Southampton, in many ways?
No.
So I'm sure you don't want them to beat us because that would be quite annoying for you.
Stoke FC. Well, my next door neighbour is a mad Southampton fan, so I've been to a couple of games. So we have got bass for them because if not, I'm going to get tagged on Facebook like nobody. The old person's social network. So I've got a feeling we're going to do 3-1. I genuinely believe we're doing 3-1.
Wow.
I think we're going to. This new team, I think we're going to outpace them. Because if you like, I always remember that Koscielny goal, the last minute, like handball header, whatever it was. Can't remember what game it was.
That was Burnley.
No. Burnley. No. But also, I remember Koscielny sort of scoring at Southampton, or maybe it's the white wine. I'm not really sure right now. But
he may have done. I can't remember him scoring at Southampton.
I do remember Koscielny doing something or the other that was really annoying for Southampton. I remember my neighbour wanting to put a brick through my window. He generally goes down and gets upset. No, I just think when we look at that team that James put up for against PSV, and don't get me wrong, like Ruud van Nistelrooy has a face I could never grow tired of slapping repeatedly. When we look at that team, we rotate back. I just got a feeling that I think we're going to be too much for them. I generally hope we're going to be too much. And I'm thinking 3-1. I genuinely think 3-1. I think we'll be too much for them.
Well, 3-1 would be fantastic. Loki agrees with you, actually. Loki's gone 3-1 as well. So that would be nice, wouldn't it? And Loki also says, I went to the Dell a few times. Good away there. I used to love going to the Dell. That was one of my favourite away games every season. We always seem to play them in the spring when the sun was out. It always seemed to be a good game. We always seem to score a few. I think Wrighty got a hat-trick twice at the Dell, didn't he? We always seem to score a few goals here. It was always a great away day, actually, the Dell. Funny old ground with that sort of lopsided stand behind the goal, wasn't it? That didn't make any sense. But anyway, it was a nice away trip, and there was a nice pub opposite the ground as well, opposite the away end, which was quite nice. So 3-1, and that would be quite good. Neil, what are you anticipating in for Southampton? Because we have had problems there in the past. There's no doubt about that. We can't get away from the fact that they beat us last year. They beat us the year before in the cup, and we've struggled at times.
It's time for revenge, then, isn't it, Rich?
Well, it is. Are we going to get revenge though?
Serve cold, so we'll do that. I think we're gonna have a good win on Thursday. That will beef us up and give us all a lift for our ventures away. And I think we'll win 3-0.
3-0. Oh, that's a bold one.
And you know what I'm going to go for? I'm going to go for who will I go for as scoring? Just if you need to know, I want to do an unusual one. I'm actually going to go Xhaka scoring the first goal for a 3-0 win.
Oh, I wouldn't say the first goal, but yeah, I'll get Xhaka with a goal for that.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right. I know I'm not saying much more, but I think they're both, again, two tough games, but because we're at home on Thursday, I think that's a little bit better than the last two that we've had, where we've had back-to-back away games, both tricky away. So I think the concerns about the players being a little bit tired will be slightly allayed because of the fact we don't have to travel on Thursday or midweek. And Southampton's not that far, is it really, for them? It's not a major trip. So hopefully it won't be too bad. And I think they'll bounce back from. I think that performance at Leeds will be on their minds, and I think they're going to bounce back from that in these two next games that we got. So yeah, 3-0.
Well, 3-0 would be fantastic. It would be one of our biggest wins. In fact, it would be our biggest win at their new ground in the league anyway. That's St Mary since they moved there. So that would be good. 3-0. Yeah, John says there, honestly, would be a shocker if Arsenal don't score 3 goals against Southampton. Everyone's confident, aren't they? I'm liking the confidence really, but it kind of worries me a little bit at the same time. Michael, what are you anticipating for Southampton? Because I say it hasn't been a great place for us in recent years, has it? We've had a few bad defeats there actually when we've been playing well at some times, and big games we've lost. And I don't know, it's not my favourite place to be going at a time when we've just had a big away game that we struggled in.
Yeah, I think they got the youngest team in the league. I think just behind ours or something like that, or just above us. So yeah, probably on that instance could be a lot of energy. A lot of running around and them trying to press. I don't think they're as good as nowhere as good as Leeds are in terms of executing that. So if we're remotely on it, just say we're in second gear against Leeds. If we're in third gear against them, I think we'll take them apart. I'll just go back on the Leeds game. Just for example, there was a moment around the 29th minute where we played some amazing football and we got out the press. And I think Jesus was fouled. It went to Martinelli. He should have went on, but the ref blew up for a free kick when he should have let the play go on. And the football was unbelievable. So that was just one instance. If we can keep doing that against them, we'll be all right. I think. I mean, because they beat Chelsea as well, didn't they? They've beaten Chelsea at home as well. So
they did, yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be, they're going to come out as usual and they're going to try and make it difficult. But I think, as Neil said, the performance against Leeds will hopefully spur them on to put in a bit more of a performance. Probably know they've got away with one a little bit and getting put in a performance. And I think we'll have too much for them, to be honest. So I'd say 2-0. I won't go 3. I'll go 2.
That one, I mean, 2-0 would be any win would do. Let's be honest. I mean,
1-0's fine.
I do want to see a more improved performance than yesterday, to be honest, because as we said before, we can't keep playing as badly as that and getting away with it. We may get away with it 2 or 3 times, but eventually it will catch up with us. So I want to see a response to that performance. I want to see, obviously we've got Thursday night to come first, and that's a big game. We need to win that as well. But certainly at Southampton back in the league, I do want to see a response to that Leeds performance and a much better game. And if we do play better than we did against Leeds, there's every chance we'll be able to get the right result because we've got better players than Southampton. There's no doubt about that. And you're right, Michael. They are a very young team as well, aren't they? They've got a lot of new players in this season as well. I've noticed from some of their games, players that I wasn't sort of recognised too much from before. So they've got, they're in a little bit of a transitional kind of spell as well, obviously. But Ralph's under a bit of pressure in the bottom 3, Southampton, aren't they, at the moment? I think, or 4th from bottom or something like that, aren't they? So they need the points as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tough game. There's no easy games in the Premier League, let's be honest, whatever it is, especially away from home. I want to see that response though from the Leeds game, and I say if we play well or anywhere near how well we can play, then I'm sure we will win. And if we do, then we're going to enjoy another week at the top of the league, aren't we? Which is going to be nice because that's at the moment great, isn't it? And that's why I thought yesterday was good when I wanted Liverpool to beat Man City for one reason, because of obviously they were the only unbeaten team left, and we always like everybody to lose a game, don't we? It's our little thing that we like to celebrate. But also as well, because what it means is that because the gap's 4 points, and because everyone was playing in midweek and we're not, and we can stay top. That's what I wanted us to be able to stay top a little bit longer, regardless of whether we win or lose. We can still stay top. That's what I like. So I was quite pleased that Liverpool.
I think, though, Rich, just a quick one on that. It's really nice to see that Tommy Ashew got Salah out of his pocket and gave him back to Liverpool, really.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and scored a goal. Yes, it was nice of him to do that, actually, just to give him back for the day. That was nice. And John says there, Southampton are lacking finishing off games. They're a young team with Ward-Prowse as their most senior experience. But yeah, he's a great player, Ward-Prowse, actually, isn't he? So what we mustn't do is we mustn't give free kicks away anywhere near the penalty area, because he can smash them in the top corner on a regular basis, can't he? So he's a good player. But I mean, from what I've seen of Southampton, I haven't watched them that much this season, and they do seem as though, they are a young team. They do play some nice football. But yeah, maybe they haven't got the finishing touch. They may be missing that Broja they had last season, who's gone back to Chelsea. I think they may be missing him up front, and that's maybe their issue. But hopefully that means that we can go there and win, which is what we need to do. And I'm confident we will. I mean, everyone seems pretty confident. I think we'll win. I'm going to go. See, I quite like the 3-1 actually that's been going around. I quite like that. I might go with that as well. Actually, I kind of quite fancy a 3-1. So we did win 3-1 in the league a couple of years ago, didn't we? So Saka got one in that game. So I think Saka might score again. You said Xhaka's going to score, Neil. When was the last time Xhaka scored in an away game, actually? Because he normally scores at home, doesn't he? I can't remember him scoring away from home very often.
That's why I went for him. So I want him to break his duck away. He deserves it after he's played so well.
No, he does. I mean, he's playing really well. There's no doubt about it. He maybe wasn't so good yesterday, but everyone was.
Yeah, but I don't. I think all of them weren't on their game yesterday.
No.
I mean, Ramsdale was great, of course.
He had to be, didn't he? Gabriel was as well.
Yeah, and Gabriel was probably the better of the two central defenders, but they were all having a bit of an off game. But end of the day, I'll take an off game and we still win because, as I said before, every team and every individual goes through off games for a whole season. Like they all go through a purple patch. Great teams go through their purple patches as well. And we always tend to struggle. I don't know what it is. Like you said earlier, November's always been our kind of bad month.
Yeah.
And it's why it's this time of the year, I don't know. But if we just get
cold.
through it,
they don't like the cold.
It could be. But if they can get through it with wins, and then then we hit our purple patch, God help the rest of the league and all the other competitions we're in. That's what I'm going to say.
Barcelona, we're going to batter them. Batter Barcelona. I'll tell you what, right? We're going to have I'm going to put my own little podcast up. I'm going to teach everybody how to swear in Spanish. So when they come to the Emirates, when we get them, I'm going to teach you monumental songs in Spanish that maybe can't be put on the podcast because we'll get kind of whatever edited out. I'm just
you don't think you two can speak Spanish?
No, well, they can, but I won't do it on this podcast. But seriously,
I'll
teach everybody sweary songs in Spanish. It'll be fine.
No, and if you swear in Spanish, it's probably okay because most people won't understand it, so we'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just have to be a bit careful. Mark says, "Who's our one lost to?" That was Man United, wasn't it? That's the team that we've lost to this season. That Man United game where
did we lose to them? Did we really lose some? I don't think we did.
Well, unfortunately, the as you said about in 100 years' time, that the Leeds result will stay 1-0 to Arsenal, and in 100 years' time, that Man United result will still stay 3-1 to Manchester United, whether we deserve to lose or not. Unfortunately, that's what happened in that game. I think Joan just answered our question. Xhaka's last away goal, Crystal Palace. That was a free kick. Yeah, I remember that. It finished 2-2 that game, though, James, because we were filling out. Aubameyang scored, and then they got a penalty right at the end, didn't they? Which Xhaka gave away, actually, funnily enough. But he was playing centre back in that game, I think he was, or he certainly played centre back for a part of that game, and he gave away a penalty. James said Aubameyang. Now Aubameyang got sent off for Crystal Palace the season after. When we did draw that game 1-1, he scored Aubameyang, and then he got sent off for some foul that he shouldn't have been sent off for. That would have been actually just after Arteta had taken over. That was one of his first games, wasn't it? In his first 4 or 5 games. That one you're thinking of when he got sent off. The one that Xhaka scored was a 2-2 draw under Unai Emery when he caught that free kick and then gave away a penalty. But yeah, that was one of them 22-game unbeaten run. It was part of that run, wasn't it? That game. It was actually, that was his last, it probably was his last away goal. I remember him scoring one at Hull in his first season from about 25 yards in the top corner. I was at that game. That was good. But yeah, most of his goals seem to come at home, don't they, for some reason? Just maybe he maybe tries to shoot more at home. I don't know. But yeah, it'd be nice to get one away from home again, wouldn't it? For Xhaka. But as long as we win, it doesn't matter who scores, does it? Maybe Saka again. He's on a good run, isn't he? He might pop up with another goal.
Jesus needs one. Jesus needs a goal.
Yeah, he probably does need a goal. I mean, I think anybody needs a goal. If we're drawing 0-0 or we're losing, then anyone needs a goal. They all need a goal, don't they, to get us back in the game? But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, let's hope we can win. James says there, no, he scored in the 1-1 because it was just after he smashed a free kick against Newcastle. Just before it, he was on a run of bending free kicks in. James, you need to check that because he definitely scored in a 2-2 draw. And he gave away a penalty. And Aubameyang scored in a 1-1 draw that you're thinking of.
How do you feel about the talk of Xhaka getting a new contract?
Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Xhaka, he should be captain. He should be everything. He should be, play centre forward. He should play goalkeeper. Everything. Give him whatever he wants. Give him whatever he wants. Let him stay forever because I think he deserves it because he's brilliant and I love him. So yeah, give him a contract definitely, 100%. Wouldn't you then?
Oh I've got no doubts about it. For me, like, he has redeemed himself back in the eyes of the fans. Like, I've still got that little bit of reticence, the fact that when he threw his top down, right? I've got no problems with him telling fans to F off who were saying horrible things about his family and all that. But to throw the club top down is, I don't know what it is. It's just me being a sentimental old man, loving the Arsenal, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but you see, you should understand that, Steve, because obviously your Latin temperament that you've got, that's the sort of thing that you would do in those circumstances. But
I'd never desecrate the flag of the person that's paying my mortgage, so that would never happen. Yeah, I would be throwing shoes at the fans. Don't get me wrong, I'd be throwing shoes at them and water bottles, everything that goes with it. No, I think that player has stepped up to the mark. He's proved who he is. Like, we got to understand. And what sealed it for me was against Liverpool and Henderson and the supposed comments that went on, is seeing him fighting for the team and stuff like that. Then you realise I didn't know the man. I don't know him. I don't know him personally. He's welcome to come on. By the way, Jamie, you know who I'm going to go with now. Yeah. So Jamie O'Hara, looking fat in tweed, big man. I was looking at you on Sky. Jamie O'Hara, you look fat in tweed. It's not good for you, mate. Single colours for you. Anyway, so but the fact of the matter is that guy that I think Xhaka has turned it around. I think he has won the hearts of the fans again. You can see he's loving his football. He's playing absolutely amazing football right now. Why not give him that contract? Let's see at the end of his career. Martinelli wants a contract. He wants to play for Arsenal forever. Forever. Yeah. He's actually come out and said that. So give that guy what he needs. Give that guy what he needs to kind of stay in there. Saka the same. He's bought a new box. To have the money at 20 odd years, I'm buying an executive box at the Emirates and stuff. So it just things are going in the right place. So I think for Xhaka, I think it's for sticking with it, because most and I've said it before, and I know I've said it on our chat. Ian Wright turned around and said, "I know some great players that really want to come to Arsenal. When we're in the Champions League." Well, tell you what, whoever you are, go away. I'm not interested. I want players that want to come to Arsenal.
To get us in the Champions League. They should be there to get us in the Champions League. Yeah. That's what they should come for.
Love the badge, love the club, be part of the project, move it forward. Yeah. And yes, we'll pay you the money and all that. I totally understand that. I think we lost Neil. But look, the bottom line is, be there because you want to be part of the club. You want to be what's going on, the whole part of it. Don't be because you want to be champions. And I don't care if they're mercenary or don't care. You're not the people that we don't want you. We don't want you.
I think what we need to be doing at the moment is we need to be keeping this group of players together and adding to it, not letting players go. If they want a contract, give them a contract, extend the contracts that they've got. Try and keep this group together and then add extra quality to it, and let's see where we can go. I mean, for me, Xhaka is so important that he'd be the first player I would give a contract to, because he's so important to this team at this moment in time.
Yeah,
he really is so important, and you don't want to, you can't afford to let your most important players go. We don't have a lot of experience really in the squad, and he's got that, and he brings it. So, it was a no-brainer for me. I would give him a contract straight away.
For sure.
And make sure that we keep him. So it's been a good week for Arsenal. It's been a week where we've kind of quite enjoyed a little bit of this. Making a bit of a comeback, isn't it? The 1-0 to the Arsenal, two 1-0 away wins in a week where we haven't played that well, and we've scraped them through. We like that. It's Arsenal stuff, isn't it? It's what we've built our history on, stuff like that. So it's good. We do enjoy it, a bit of that. John in the chat there says Jamie O'Hara is jealous of Arsenal. He's jealous of anyone who looks good in tweed, quite clearly.
I look amazing in tweed. I'll tell you what, we play Barcelona. If we play Barcelona, I'm telling everybody right now, I will come on here in tweed and I will teach you to swear in Spat, not in here, in a different channel, but I'm going to come on in tweed. That's what I'm doing it. I'm coming on in tweed.
Yeah, well, that would be great. We look forward to that. Should that be the case? Loki says that Harry Kane has failed his 11 plus after taking 7 weeks for one 12-page book reading for CBBS bedtime stories. I saw him read that, actually. I did laugh. I did think that was hilarious, actually, him reading bedtime stories. It was quite funny, wasn't it? But yeah, it's the only thing he's going to be doing that's any significance this year, and that includes the World Cup, unfortunately. But yeah, so it's been another good week for Arsenal. 2 narrow wins against the odds and against against the performance that we put in, quite honestly. But we won 2 games again, top of the league, top of the Europa League group. It's a good time, isn't it, at the minute, to be an Arsenal fan? And it's not always going to be plain sailing. I'm sure there's going to be a few bumps in this road as we go through the season, but we're certainly enjoying it at the moment, and long way to continue. And I'm kind of starting to. The only thing is, I'm getting used to us being top of the league now. I'm quite enjoying it. I like seeing the league table every week, and it's like I'm going to be quite disappointed when we're not there anymore. And
you're not going to be disappointed because we're always going to be here for the rest of the season. Stop it.
Are we? Well, I hope you're right, because I don't know how I'm going to be able to cope with us not being top anymore. Because
you don't have to worry about it, Rich. We're going to stay there.
You've reassured me now. I'm okay.
We are wrapping the league up by the end of March. It'll be ours.
Wow, that would be good, wouldn't it? Can't we wrap up a bit earlier than that? Because that's
no. I want to keep you just a little bit worried for a little longer.
That's too long to wait for me. And James agrees with you. James has gone champions as well. There we go. And John says, how many players have left Arsenal and ended up as bench? Well, yeah, quite a few.
Hleb is one. Just a straight. Anybody says that, Hleb. And Barcelona, we're waiting for you. Come on, we're waiting for you.
I think what I'm enjoying more about us being top is the watching all the various forms of the media just lose their minds and every week change the narrative. Like when we lost to United, and we played really, really well, and Roy Keane was like, "Well, it doesn't matter about performance.
Yeah.
It matters about the result." Arsenal have put in a bad performance to get the result. Oh no, that's a really bad performance for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm loving it. I'm we're keeping all the receipts, and come May, let's just show them. And
that's the same Roy Keane that was laughing about the fact that he broke Haaland's father's leg. Yeah, that same guy when they got battered, absolutely overrun. In a sort of so yeah, no, totally agree with you, mate. The narrative changes. Oh, well, they haven't really played anybody that's big. Oh, it's not a Tottenham team that's doing that well. Oh,
Liverpool is in bad form. Yeah,
Liverpool in bad form. Sorry, pal. Sorry, mate. What can you do? What eyes are terrible against Leeds.
We've never ever in our history have we ever won 9 of our first 10 league games in the top flight ever. We did it once in Division 2. That was in 1903, 1904. So, and that was in Division 2. We've never done it in the top flight before. And at the end of the day, we've played 10 teams. There's only 20 teams in the league. So we've played nearly half of them. We've played more than half of them because we only play, you only play 19 games half. And we played more than half the games, half the teams. So, we've not played anybody yet apart from half the Premier League. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're top. So yeah, I'm enjoying it as well. That's a good point, Mark. Actually, I must admit, I don't really listen too much to the media and the pundits. I really don't, because they just do me in. They talk nonsense and they don't like Arsenal. Never have done. But it is good that they are squirming a little bit now. And the longer this goes on, the more they're going to be squirming, aren't they? Because the closer we might get to actually winning something big, they're going to hate it, aren't they? It's going to be even better for us. The media have always been against us. George Graham used to say it all the time, didn't he, in his team talks? The media against us. And now it's going to be even better now, probably because there's so much more media attention in football. There's so much more negativity about Arsenal from the media and the referees and the other fans, everybody, and it's just going to be fans. If we actually won the Premier League, I actually think that would be it for me. I wouldn't care if I died the next day. That would be it. We've won the Premier League, and finally, after 20 years or whatever, it'll almost be 20 years, won't it? So it'd be amazing that. And if we do it, then that'd be great. I'm not quite sure yet if this is our season, but I know Neil's convinced, so we'll go along with it. Loki says to Steve there, a good Barcelona story. My niece played their roller hockey team last week. They're in a tournament, lost 9-0. Barca gave her a full kit and treated them really well. Oh, there you go. You see, Barca aren't that bad, Steve, are they? So,
Mate, listen. Hold on. Time out on that one. Time out. So my family from the south of Spain, we can't stand them, right? We cannot stand them. It's
that's fair enough.
Whatever. But at the end of the day, listen, when they come to the Emirates, we're going to beat them. It's just as simple as that. When we go to Nou Camp, we're going to beat them.
Let's hope so.
There's no hope about Rich. Be positive.
We don't even know if we'll be playing them yet, do we? We won't even play them yet because
they're coming into Europa League. Listen, they're coming into our.
They might well be coming into it, but we might not get to play them. They might get knocked out by someone else first. Who knows?
Yes. Well, so listen, we are going to beat Barcelona. Should we face Europa? You heard it here first. I'm teaching everybody how to swear in Spanish, and I'm wearing tweed. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that'd be good. We look forward to that actually. Just your intrigue would be enough for me, really. So that'd be enough. Loki says that she played Atletico and Anderlecht as well. I bet they didn't treat him as well, did they? Them two clubs, because Barcelona are a little bit different. But anyway, we understand Steve's got his own reasons not to like Barcelona. That's fair enough. James says there, if two Barcelona players split up a wall, I would not watch to see who trickled down first, unlike the mighty Arsenal. Well, I don't really like Barcelona myself, I've got to be honest. John says there, pundits on Sky Sports, TalkSport, etc. are pro City, United, Liverpool, and they hate Arsenal doing what they're doing. Yeah, they're pro Spurs as well, actually. Don't forget that. They all love a bit of Spurs, don't they? Every single one of them. They just love it.
Well, it's true what John said. A lot of them played against the mighty Invincibles and got embarrassed every time they played against them as well. Especially Danny Mills, who goes to sleep. Before he goes to sleep, we all know what he dreams about. Getting nutmeg by Henry in that corner flag at Highbury. We know that's what he does.
And Carragher as well. When Henry, how many times did Henry just run around Carragher like he wasn't there? Do you remember that game at Anfield in the FA Cup when he out-sprinted him? He was about 30 yards behind him, got the ball and scored. And that one obviously at Highbury when that solo goal he scored against Liverpool and he left Carragher on his arse. I mean, Carragher's never gotten over that, has he? Ever? He just hasn't.
How fabulous! Long may it continue. Keep going. Like Jason Cundy as well. Get over yourself.
All of them. There's a lot of them. Yeah. I mean, I don't listen to them, but I know they hate Arsenal. So
I love it. Who's a ginger one? Who's a ginger one on Driveline who's got really fat recently? And that's not Jamie O'Hara. Who's a Peterborough fan?
Adrian Durham.
Yeah, Adrian Durham. Is he still on there? Is he? Is he still going?
Yeah, he's an idiot. I think he's a closet Arsenal fan. I genuinely think he's a closet Arsenal fan.
Well, he always used to talk about Arsenal, didn't he, on the show?
Yeah.
Last time on this
apparently his family's all Arsenal fans. I think.
Are they?
His wife and his kids are all Arsenal fans, so they must give it to him, and that's why
he's welcome to come on the podcast anytime he wants, because I will tear him a new one.
He used to have a section on his show when I listened to it years ago. It used to be like the Arsenal thing or something, didn't it? He used to always have some discussion about Arsenal in a negative way.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, so I stopped listening to him after that. I just thought,
if anybody out there knows Adrian Durham and Jamie O'Hara, they're welcome to come on. They're welcome to come on because I will tear Durham a new one. Seriously, he will, and I'll be wearing a tweed suit, so he might think it's Jamie O'Hara. I'm not as fat, but there you go.
So Loki says that Danny Mills, half of Middlesbrough. Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? It was Middlesbrough he's playing for, and City. Wasn't he the one when we did that funny little penalty against Man City? Wasn't it? Was it him that started shouting and going mad? Was that Danny Mills or was that someone else? Do you remember that when Robert Pires and Thierry Henry tried that penalty?
Yeah, I was there. I was there.
Was it? That was Danny Mills, wasn't it? Was it him going mental, wasn't it? At the referee and stuff, wanting to get him sent off and now. What are you doing? You can't get sent off for taking a penalty. But yeah, that was funny. Yeah, but yeah, there's some strange stuff going on anyway. But yeah, so it's been a great week for Arsenal again. We are still top of the league and we're enjoying it. It's another big week now. We need 2 more wins and then it'll be fun. And next week as well. John says exactly what has Mills, O'Hara, Cundy achieved? Well, they haven't achieved anything. All they're famous for is talking nonsense on the radio. That's all they're famous for. They're not famous for their football career, are they? Well, we kind of remember Danny Mills for getting mugged off by Thierry Henry, but other than that, we don't really remember what he did in his career, do we? But I can't remember Jamie O'Hara playing actually, or Jason Cundy. Really, I can't. Yeah. I know they did. I don't really remember anything that they did in their career.
Jason Cundy actually play.
He played for Chelsea, didn't he, at one time?
Yeah, I know that's not really playing.
About 3 games for them when they were like in Division 2 or something. I mean, I don't remember anything about any of those lot. James says there, Jamie O'Hara and Adrian Durham. He's gone back down to spitting down a wall thing. Yeah, okay, we get your point, James. Yeah, well done. We get the point. Yeah, good. Okay. So yeah, if that happens, we'll let you watch it and you can let us know how you got on. Anyway, that was fun, wasn't it? It's always a fun show when we're top of the league. Steve, thank you very much for joining us. You're back tomorrow, aren't you? Actually, with your mate Adam.
Mate, have I got some socials for tomorrow? So is Adam and I going to be on? We're going to have a little chat. We're going to look at some statistics, do my usual. I have got some stunners. Like it involves wasps. It involves strikers. It involves football. It involves not Jason Cundy, but Jamie O'Hara, the fat bloke in tweed. And then we're going to be the usual banter. We're going to go on the socials. We're going to be ripping a new one. I'm going to be drinking way too much on a whole load of cold and flu medicine. So I'll be tripping off my tits. And generally just sort of go for it tomorrow. So Adam and I, we're doing the socials. We're getting into it. please come along, and we'll try and be nice. But I can't. I'm going to continue on the Barcelona thing. That's my thing. It's got
that's fine. I mean, that sounds like. I mean, you've sold that show pretty well, actually. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in for that 8 o'clock tomorrow. Steve and Adam ripping up the socials, which is what we like to see. It's going to be good. So that'll be that. And, Neil as well. Great to see you again, my friend.
Thank you as always. Thank you. Always an honour and a pleasure. And good to see Michael back on. So that was nice. Makes a little bit of change. We miss Melvin, but good to have a little bit of a change. And yeah, great points again from Michael. But Richard, Steve, Michael, thank you for having me on, and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And come on indeed. And Michael, good to see you again. Melvin couldn't be here tonight. He was something he'd already had planned before, so we've let him off. We've given him a night off for a change. But we a great replacement in Michael. Obviously you've got your own little channel going now, haven't you? Just give that a little plug as well.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me on. It's been great. I know I've sort of missed out with the kids running around and being awake and what have you. But no, thanks for having me on tonight. It's great to chat to you guys. Arsenal above all. I think 6 episodes in and going well. Thanks for all the support that you guys have given me and the mentions you've given me in your individual shows as well. And got a show tomorrow. I'm going to have my man there at the bottom corner, Neil Knight Rider Shah. He's going to be involved in it, and going to be obviously touching some of the points that you've made tonight. Great points you've made tonight, and obviously looking forward to what's to come. And so it's been good. I've enjoyed it, and just again, as we've asked at the top of the table, hopefully it will continue in a good way.
Exactly, yeah, that is definitely what we want to see a bit more of. And I say, if you haven't checked out Michael's channel, please go and go there. Maybe what time's the show tomorrow?
I record it and then I release it afterwards. So it will probably drop around 10 o'clock, and then people just pick it up once they see it in the morning or whatever. But I will be eventually going down the live stream route eventually, and once I get the confidence to do it, and
no need confidence, mate.
You just need a bottle of wine and a smash it.
Maybe go down that route.
Yeah, so I might do that soon. Funny enough, and then at the moment just recording it and then just downloading and releasing it.
Well, I mean, what a perfect night it is. So tomorrow night you can watch Steve and Adam's show at 8 o'clock, and then after that's finished, you can go and catch up with Michael's show on Michael's channel as well. What a great night of Arsenal chat that'll be. So
why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do something like that? Come on.
I don't know. I can't think of any reason not to. But
I'm watching Michael tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to be on my podcast streaming Michael. That's what I'm doing. Tomorrow. That's that. It's the thing.
We'll do that. That sounds good. But what a great Tuesday night we've got. There is lined up there now. Brilliant stuff. So forget TV, forget Netflix and all that rubbish. Right? Watch the podcast, the Arsenal podcast, because that's the best thing that you can do with your Tuesday evening.
Better in your life. Come on, cough syrup and white wine. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, it seems to be. It definitely seems to be. John says there, thanks, lads. Good night. Or bring on PSV. Yeah, bring on PSV indeed. I'll be back on Wednesday for the women starting the Champions League against Lyon away. That's going to be a tough game. That's 8 o'clock kickoff, so we'll go live for that one about 7:45, and that'll be the watch along on Wednesday. Thursday, the Europa League watch along. Watch along's coming out of our ears at the minute. Obviously, that's going to be on Thursday night, so that's going to be good. So please join me for that. 6 o'clock kickoff, that actually, which is a bit mad. Yeah. So we'll be going live about 5:45 for that. Friday, we've got the women's show on. Loads of stuff coming up, and then obviously Sunday, they've done me over again. Yesterday, I had to do 2 watch-alongs, on the same day. On Sunday, it's going to be the Arsenal women start at 12 o'clock, and then the men's kick off at 2 o'clock. So it's literally one straight into the other. I don't even get a break for a cup of tea. It's madness. What are they doing? These fixtures.
You love it, Rich.
You're going to have to pee in a bottle, mate. You're going to have to pee in a bottle. That's what you're going to have to do, mate.
Well, I'm going to have to find some way of getting around it, because it's a mad Sunday, but it's going to be fun. If we win all the games, I don't care. Like yesterday, we won them both, so it was fine. I was stressed out, and I couldn't breathe for about 3 hours afterwards because the stress, but it was worth it. John says there, Michael, what's your channel on YouTube called? Just give it another shout again.
It's called Arsenal Above All. Thanks, John.
Arsenal Above All, John. So definitely check out that. If you like our channel, you'll definitely like that as well. So give that a watch as well. Great stuff.
quality conversations on that
Absolutely.
one.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Definitely good stuff. So this has been over and over and over again, the Arsenal review. We've won 1-0 a couple of times, which is nice. Hopefully a few more wins to come between now and the World Cup. Don't forget to tune in for Steve's show tomorrow, the social with Adam. That is always good fun. Definitely check that out. You'll enjoy that as well. And I'll see you Wednesday for the women in the Champions League. There is Champions League football at Arsenal already. It's the women. So get behind them because they deserve it. They're doing well at the moment. 100% record in the league as well. So that's on Wednesday. And, of course, the Europa League as well on Thursday. Game after game at the minute. What fun it is. And Arsenal winning them all. We're just winning them all. It's a lot. Everything is good fun, isn't it? So join us for all of that. And we'll see you soon. Thank you very much to Steve, as always, and his bottle of wine. Thank you very much to Neil, of course, as always, with his Champions namesake, and of course Michael as well. Definitely check out Michael's channel as well, and we will see you very, very soon. In the meantime, of course, as always, come on, you Gunners! Come on. I love that.
Thanks.
Watch Gabriel Martinelli. It's now with Granit Xhaka. Is it going to be the third goal? It is the third goal. Granit Xhaka with it. That seals it.